I'm here today with Mike Berger, who is architect, principal designer with Perkins Eastman, who's one of the architects on our project team. And I'm Ken Duva, superintendent of schools. And we'd like to share some information with our community regarding the proposed school projects that we have coming up here in North Kingstown over the next few years. And just want to kind of start off with a brief history of what we are working on in town and why. First of all, I just want to start to share information about our existing middle schools here in North Kingstown. We have two middle schools. One is Davisville Middle School, and the other one is Wickford Middle School. Both middle schools provide education to students in grades 6 through 8. The middle schools were built many years ago. They were over 50 years old. Wickford Middle School was built in the 1930s. Davisville Middle School in the 1960s. We do not have current modern middle schools. That is one of the main reasons why we are proposing to build a new consolidated middle school here in North Kingstown for our students and educators and community. And we're working with Perkins Eastman on the design of the middle school and what that will look like. Our vision for the district is not just to build a new middle school, but also to focus on the rest of the facilities in town and being able to renovate and provide upgrades to all school facilities throughout the district. And that's the reason for the bond as well. The bond it's $167.4 million. That is to construct a new middle school as well as provide renovations and upgrades to the other school facilities that we have in town. And that fund is not only to cover the cost of a new middle school for our town, but it's also for capital improvement projects for other school facilities within the district. We really want to focus our vision on how we are improving schools across the district for the teaching and learning of our students, as well as the learning environments for our staff. We are still very early in the design process. We have not yet developed the construction drawings, engineering, or have gone to the market for bids on the other projects that we have, but we're in that process. Creating a detailed estimate of each of those projects is not yet possible. However, based on what we know right now and the cost of recent bidding on other new schools in the region, we do expect to allocate about $130 million for the project for the new consolidated middle school, which means the remaining budget of the $167 million can go towards other school facilities within the district. It's important to know that the estimated cost of the middle school, the $130 million, includes the site design. It includes the construction of the new middle school. It also includes all of the furnishings and technology in the new middle school. So once that new middle school is built, everything inside of it is going to be new and modern for our students and teachers. The cost also includes demolition of our current Davisville Middle School, as well as the site development around the middle school. That would include the new parking lots, the site plans for arrival and dismissal, as well as the relocation of the baseball field and the softball field at McGinn Park. So the baseball field, the current baseball field and softball field will be relocated to the opposite side of the park where the current Davisville Middle School building is. So once that's demolished, new fields and the amenities for those fields will be built. The remaining funds of the $167 million will be used for other school improvement projects. We are designing a new capital improvement plan, which we have discussed at recent school building committee meetings, and that capital improvement plan will be part of the budget process moving forward during this school year. And those projects will be focused around some building envelope, so new roofs, looking at ventilation, security upgrades, as well as a focus on media centers. We know it's really important to make sure that our students have new modern media centers for the use of library, but also to incorporate technology and STEM standards as well within education. Of course, the construction market is very volatile, and there are a lot of schools and other infrastructure projects that we will be competing with, and we will continue to seek out cost-effective solutions. We want to keep an eye on the budget and try to keep the cost of this project as cost-effective as possible for our community. We are actually required by RIDE to design a high-quality, well-constructed public school, and that is what our goal is. We want to make sure that we're constructing a school that is sustainable and is high-functioning for our students in our community. I also want to mention that the budget of what we're estimating of $130 million, that does include contingency as well as any other additional costs that we may expect throughout the construction of the middle school. Let's talk a little bit more about the middle schools. Wickford Middle School was originally designed as a junior high school, and consequently its layout and structure is really not supportive of a middle school team arrangement and approach to education. Classrooms are smaller than what is recommended by standard here in Rhode Island. And they're also not well supported for 21st century teaching and learning. We have some classrooms in Wickford Middle School that once you walk into, for example, the science classrooms, it's not really what you would expect as a science classroom. When you walk into the science classrooms at Wickford Middle School, they have regular sized tables and desks. They are not set up properly for the teacher to facilitate experiments with the students. They don't have the proper equipment and supplies to be able to teach science the way we want science to be taught nowadays, as well as the collaborative movement within those spaces. There are also spaces within Wickford Middle School that right now not only not conducive to learning, but also the setup of where we have to place technology, a server. We have a server that is inside a bathroom space for adults. So that is not safe either for the equipment, and there's risk for the equipment that's there. As you walk through the building, you can feel the slant in the floors and the structures of the building. There's ADA compatibility concerns. We have created a video that is up on our website that shows you what it's like to go through that building if you are an individual that is in a wheelchair or might have a temporary disability. And those impact learning. The amount of time that it takes to go from where the elevator is in the main section of the building to the other side of the building is about 6 minutes. Every time that's needed, that's 6 minutes that's taken away from instructional learning time for our students. It's also an impact on any staff we have or visitors that need to use the building.
So thank you, Dr. Duva. We're happy to be part of this exciting project for your community that will serve your community for generations to come. We're going to start with the site plan and how the building is sited on the existing Davisville and McGinn site. The new school is nestled nicely deep within the site, avoiding and preserving many of the existing athletic fields and facilities on the site. The building is nestled up against the trees and the wetlands in a preserved area, which is great for the academic classrooms. They'll always have a naturally wooded area directly outside their windows. Provides deep queuing for bus and parent, so there will be no backup onto School Street. There'll be proper separation of bus and parent cars for safe arrival and discharge and arrival at a single secure entrance at the front of the school. The two ball fields, the baseball field and the existing softball field, will be relocated at the completion of the construction and will be relocated out of the flood zone. They currently sit within the flood zone, so it will be improvement to those athletic fields. The new school will be elevated slightly to be out of the flood zone, so the existing floodplain map line will be redrawn, so the school will be at no risk and will not sit within the 100-year floodplain. So as far as site investigation, the team it's in process. We've already done a number of explorations and studies on the site: traffic study, environmental study, phase one, wetland study, geotechnical studies, to understand what's underneath the soil, what can be done, where we can build on the site. There's still quite a bit of study to be had, and we'll continue to study as we complete the stage two. Right now, it's what's expected. There are no showstoppers. This is what we typically see at this stage in school construction. The building is organized into two really distinct zones, which connect and form this great 21st century educational facility. The first portion here, indicated in blue, is your public zone, your assembly zone, which houses the front door, your administration, your band, your new auditorium, your gymnasium, and your cafeteria, with the loud spaces of the school. And those are located closer to the drop-off area and adjacent to the athletic fields. The yellow space located in the back, this is a 3-story academic wing, and this is really on the quiet side of the building. It's away from the hustle and bustle of the arrival and discharge and visitors entering the school, and it's along the safe side of the school, nestled up against the trees and the really quiet side. We've also organized the academic wings in an east-west orientation, so classrooms face either south or north, taking advantage of passive heating in the wintertime and also avoiding the heat gain and direct glare in the summertime, creating for a more efficient and sustainable design. The building is organized in a pretty simple but really efficient loop layout. As the journey for a student, as they enter the school, they enter on the arrow here indicated on the floor plan at the top of the plan, and they enter into what we call Main Street. It's really a north-south circulation zone which connects all the public spaces that we just described to the private and the academic spaces on the left-hand side. They connect the auditorium, the band, the gymnasium, the cafeteria, and they celebrate the arts as well. We're locating the art classrooms on this ground floor, showcasing the arts and also the technology spaces, technology projects from the classrooms on the second floor, really at the heart of the school. Located at the center of the plan, directly north of the art classrooms, is what we're calling the heart of the school. And this is an open stair, a seating area where students and faculty can congregate before school, after school, and between classes. But it also connects the ground level and the main street to the second floor of the school, which houses the media center, your technology spaces, your technology classroom, robotics, coding, and really creating this academic hub of the school. Again, which is vertically connected with the open stair. There's a visual connectivity between the first floor and the second floor. These spaces are also located one level off the ground, and they're at the front of the school. So these spaces will be celebrated and seen as people arrive at the school along the entrance drive and see these spaces and really celebrate the technology and STEM.
Yeah, I think an exciting part about the school is what you were just talking about, that when you go upstairs and what the design that's being proposed, as you go upstairs, you have the media center and you have a suite of classrooms for technology and robotics and coding. And we know that with 21st century learning, being able to provide learning spaces that are engaging and collaborative in nature and provide the environment for students to learn around engineering and computer science is really important. And it's a spotlight. It's a spotlight for the school, and it's going to be an excellent learning space for our students.
We should also mention what we're suggesting providing outdoor learning, rooftop learning that's directly outside the media center in this technology spaces, and again at the front of the school, and really celebrate these spaces. So it's safe rooftop outdoor learning for science, for technology, and for the media center. So it should be a fantastic space for the school.
And I think it's really important that we're providing those spaces, that we're providing that outdoor learning space, because another piece that's really important is to talk about sustainability. And we know that in building a new school, there's going to have that sustainability and energy efficiency within the building, and having the outdoor learning just promotes more of the experiences for students to learn about the environment, but to also be able to look at how they can use the environment as part of their learning. And I think it's really important that as we're designing this building and talking about the learning spaces, that these learning spaces are places where we can really ignite excitement and learning for the students, but also the design of the building becomes a tool, right? The school is a tool that the teachers are able to use as well as the students are able to learn from.
That's great. It's great to hear you talk about the building as a teaching tool, because that's something we always strive for in designing these schools. This school is targeting net zero energy, which means that the goal is that the building will produce enough energy to support and run this school, which is really exciting. So let's talk a bit about the academic wings and these blue spaces on the floor plan. It's this bent wing on the left-hand side of the plan, again, which really orients north and south if you look at the north arrow on the floor plan. And the way it's broken up is there are three identical floor plans, three identical floors, floors 1, 2, and 3. Each floor contains a single grade. So we're suggesting sixth grade located on the ground level because of the short travel distances to the specials, to the cafeteria, to music, to the spaces that they'll travel to and from throughout the day. Above that, seventh grade potentially, and then eighth grade, the Kings of the Castle at the top of the plan. So within each grade, or within each floor, it's broken down into three teams. Each team consists of 100 students, three typical classrooms plus a science classroom. And those are broken up so they're adjacent to each other, short travel distances amongst those teams. So three teams, and then at the center you have all your support spaces for the faculty, some special ed classrooms, restrooms, but at the heart and at the center of each academic wing, each academic floor is a grade-specific commons. And this is a multi-use space for one-on-one instruction before and after class, for small group instruction, also a place for students to congregate and socialize between classes. You'll notice on the floor plan these red dots in certain locations at the ends of corridors. And these are areas where we're suggesting that you can provide secure door locations, so that for the academic wing, for example, on each end of the academic wing, doors can be secured for after-hour events. So anyone wandering the building, attending a performance in an auditorium or a game in the gym or a meeting in the cafeteria, they'll have access to Main Street and the adjacent spaces, much like a community center, but they will not have access to the academic wings and the private portions of the building.
So I want to take a moment to talk about the timeline of the projects as well as the bond that's coming up. So right now we are preparing for the bond referendum that is on November 7th of this year. And if the bond is passed, we will be proceeding with the work that we're doing on the for stage 2. And the requirement with RIDE is that a stage 2 application is due to them by February 15th. So we are right now, timeline-wise, we are right where we need to be to meet that deadline with the Department of Education. From there, after the submission of stage 2, once that is accepted, that will go through the approval process with the Department of Education. In May, we will receive RIDE approval from the Elementary and Secondary Council, which then would give us the approval to move forward with the projects. And as long as everything goes as planned, we are expected to continue this work and break ground for the new middle school in June of 2025. And then we'll be doing that work with the expected opening of a new consolidated middle school in fall of 2027. It's also very important to note the participation with RIDE and the reimbursements through the state. Right now is an important time for us to be working on these projects because the additional bonus incentive reimbursements that are being offered right now through legislation are expected to expire in June of 2024. And that's the reason why we are looking to go out now, asking for the, we're going, working with the town as far as a bond for the funds to do this construction, is because the additional incentives expire. And if we're not doing it now, we won't get those additional incentives. In legislation, North Kingstown qualifies for the minimum reimbursement for housing, and that's at 35%. And I just want to make sure it's clear that's not expiring. The 35% is there, that's not expiring. What is expiring are the additional incentives, which we could get anywhere from an additional 5% to 20%. There's 5% for health and safety, there's 5% for newer and fewer, there's another 5% for educational enhancements, and just those three bonuses that I've mentioned that go up that would be up to 15%. Those are we're eligible for with building a new school. As you know, when you build a new middle school, you're going to have the educational enhancements of the 5%. You're going to have health and safety for 5%. And also with the consolidated middle school, we would receive the 5% for newer and fewer. So those bonuses are really important. In addition to that, there's the possibility of up to 4% for energy efficiency around water and energy. And there's another possibility of 5% for replacement, which has to do with our facility condition index, which we know that needs another evaluation to go through with the Department of Education to see if we would qualify for that 5%. But in total, we can qualify for up to an additional 20% on top of the 35% that we already do qualify for. So it's really important to know that with the approval of these projects and the cost of these projects, that the town has the opportunity to receive anywhere from 35 to up to a possibility of 50% reimbursement on this project. We've also started a transportation study. There are a lot of questions out there regarding busing, especially that the proposed location that we're looking at is on the what I'll call the northern end of town. It's off of McGinn Park. Davisville site is off of School Street. We do know that there's concern because we will be transporting students from the other end of North Kingstown, the more southern end of North Kingstown, and what does that mean? Parents are asking, what does that mean for my child? And I'll say, as a parent in town, and I have children here in the district, it is concerning to put your children on a bus, and how long is that going to take you to be getting from your home to the school? And we know that's time, right? And everyone's time is precious. So we are doing a study. We are looking at what those routes will look like. We have put a preliminary, I'm calling it preliminary because it was the first review that we've done of looking at routes, looking at the population that we have, and if those students, instead of going from Wickford Middle School, we're going to where Davisville Middle School is now, what that would look like. And on average, it's about an additional 10 minutes longer for each of those routes. So a typical route right now is between 35 to 45 minutes, and we're looking at an additional 10 minutes on that. And that is scenario one. And scenario one is not making any changes with our fleet. That means we're not adding additional buses to the fleet. We're not changing anything. Scenario two looks at changing bus stops, meaning instead of the buses driving through all of the neighborhoods, there'd be central points of pickup and drop off. So children would have to walk further from their home to a central bus stop for an area for a neighborhood. That does cut down a little bit of time. It brings it down by a few minutes, but it doesn't make a big difference according to the scenario one. Scenario three increases our fleet. So we would need to purchase additional buses or make other changes within the timing, so we have more buses available to bus our middle school students to the middle school. And that does make some change. And we're going to continue to work on that. We want to think creatively what we can do, and we also want to do a further study of looking at the population. And we know that there is growth in our town. We know that there are developments that have not been completed yet that will be by the time we build a new middle school, and that needs to be accounted for within our transportation. So more information will be coming regarding what those bus routes might look like. In addition to doing a study on bus routes and the amount of time that it will take to transport children from the southern end of town to the current McGinn-Davisville Middle School site, we will also be looking at start times across our district. We know that it's really important to our community to invest some time into looking at the times that our schools currently start, looking at our elementary schools and looking at our high school. We know we've heard from members in our community about the high school, the early start time of the high school, as well as our elementary schools are on two tiers. And we have some elementary schools that are at an earlier start and other elementary schools that are at a later start. So we will be reviewing that and seeing how can we adjust those start times, in addition to possibly adding more buses onto our fleet to decrease the amount of time, travel time, that it would take transporting students from the southern end of town to the new proposed middle school site.
So what we're watching now is really a conceptual early level vision of what the school can look like, school and site development. Right now we're flying above the entrance drive, the parent drive off of School Street. This is the way parents will arrive at the school to drop and pick up their students. On the left-hand side you see the bus drop-off, arrival and drop-off. And in the middle you have the parking for faculty and visitors. Whether you arrive by car or by bus or walking, all students arrive at this entry plaza with this elongated canopy, which covers the students arriving by car, by bus, by walkers, and bring you right to one central entry point, right at the end of Main Street on the left-hand side of the front of the school. The second floor, the undulated glassy facade, one level up from ground level. So again, the amount of glass, we're conscious of the amount of glass and where it's located. So one level up off the street, and we're celebrating the media center, the technology, robotics, coding, and those special spaces that we spoke to earlier. And then that rooftop outdoor learning space to really showcase the sustainability, science, technology, and any outdoor studies. You see the roof. The roof is, we're suggesting the roof covered in photovoltaics, which would generate hopefully enough energy to power the school, 100% of the energy to power the school. The loop circulation creates that central courtyard, which is another secure outdoor learning environment. Then as we back up, we see the entire site and see the amount of site amenities that the town will retain and will be improved upon. McGinn Park will remain as is, and we remain number of parking spaces, and all the amenities on McGinn Park will remain as is.
So I think this will be a really exciting time for North Kingstown. As we're designing a new middle school, it's a new space that is engaging and exciting for our students and for our staff. As well as providing the opportunity to be able to renovate and upgrade some of the other facilities throughout the district. I'm really excited about the possibilities that we have and the potential of improvements and the changes that we can make that all of our students will benefit from and our community will benefit from for many years to come.
So the district's vision is educate, inspire, and challenge. And Perkins Eastman, the design team, we have three words that really rise to the top when we talk about designing 21st century educational facilities, and those are inspire, comfort, and adapt. So they really align very well with the mission, the vision of the town. Inspire, the school, this facility needs to inspire children. They have to be excited, the teacher, but also the faculty have to be inspired.
We want to excite them. We want them to walk in. We want them to walk into this building and really get excited to be there. We want the building to speak to them and to speak to the learning and the teaching that's happening, and to excite learning, right? Inspire them to be the best they can be, and to really, like you're saying with adapt, right? We want the environment to adapt to the learning, but we also want our students and our teachers to be able to adapt within the environments they're in. And in the design, we're talking about having collaborative learning spaces, right? To really adapt around what needs to happen. So it's flexible in nature, and they're constantly having that ability to change what they're doing depending on the instruction that's happening.
And I think comfort is a really important one as well. Students need to feel safe within the facility, but also has to feel welcoming. Talk about daylighting and views, but controlled daylighting and views. It's also thermal comfort. It's the mechanical systems, it's the acoustics within the space, which I think some of the existing facilities in town, based on their dates, are a little bit behind, and they don't quite meet today's standards and codes. I think inspire, comfort, and adapt. Educate, inspire, and challenge mesh really well. So it's an exciting project, and I'm looking forward to moving forward.